Howdy and welcome to Daily Miles. If you'd be so kind, please hit the like button down below. It helps out with the algorithm and the channel. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button for more content. On today's agenda, yet another stationary story. This is a story that I've referred to several times at this point. It's the story of Boeing, or Boeing helicopters. So it's a stationary story, which means I'm not going anywhere while I'm telling the story, i.e. versus my usual travel stories. Right. It's a short one. Well, it's actually quite a long story. I've tried to shoot this thing like 3, maybe 4 times at this point, and every single time I just go on and on because it's a longish story. Right. The main thrust of this entire story are how I got my security clearance, and more importantly, how I solved Boeing Helicopter's $6 million problem that they've been working on for 4 years and had yet to solve. This deals with the Comanche project. The Comanche project, in case you were unclear, was, until the Clinton administration killed it, was the successor to the Apache helicopter. This is a revolutionary helicopter on multiple levels. If you don't know what the Apache helicopter is, go look at the movie Blue Thunder. Yeah, that'll really make you go, what? All right. The Comanche, on the other hand, solves many problems that the Apache helicopter presented. And one of those problems was, multiple problems was the Apache was loud. It had a monster radar cross section, and it was a beast to fly. The Comanche, on the other hand, was an elegant craft designed for stealth, and it was designed for stealth, and it had an armament that would, make any Army general fucking thrilled. And on top of all of that, it had grace in the air. It was beautiful, sleek, clean, clear. This thing was the bomb as far as, helicopters go. Even if, I'll throw up a picture of it on the screen. Just beautiful, a beautiful helicopter. Anyways, so I got to work on this project for like a heartbeat. Literally a heartbeat, because it took me exactly 20 minutes to solve this problem. All right, so let's back up a little bit. How did I get my security clearance, and how did I solve their problem? Well, first, I didn't have my security clearance at all in any way, shape, or form. When I went to go work for Boeing, I actually was hired under dubious circumstances. Dubious being the operative word there. I was actually hired for a completely different purpose. I didn't know that at the time, and my boss didn't tell me, and for good reason. Because if it didn't work out, well, then they could easily fire me. So I was hired as a contractor to go and basically build out Boeing Helicopters intranet. Boeing Helicopters is a small, according to Boeing, a small division of Boeing aircraft. When they say small, they mean, what you and I would think of as, a couple of people. Now, this is basically a city in Media, Pennsylvania, with 7,000 workers at the time. And to make a long story short, I got hired to build out their intranet so that all of their people could publish stoplight charts. And a stoplight chart is basically, where you are in a project. So that their mid-level managers and mid-level managers could all figure out where they are in the project. All right. So when I got hired, in order to work at Boeing, I didn't know this at the time, and my boss didn't tell me. When I got hired as a contractor, I should back up. I was hired for that purpose, or at least that's the reason they told me. That's not the reason I was hired. The reason I was hired was to solve their $6 million problem, but they couldn't tell me that at the time because I didn't have a security clearance. All right. Long story. Anyways, so I basically sat on my hands for 4.5 months. I'm not kidding. I got paid $2,400 a week for 4.5 months. I could not touch a computer, and I read the newspaper every day. I would go into work, read the newspaper, and not do a goddamn thing. And it's not because I didn't want to work. I mean, I basically got so frustrated and so pissed off that, I threatened to quit like half a dozen times. And my boss's boss kept telling me, Miles, just chillax. We have a plan for you. Trust me, it'll work out. I couldn't touch a computer at all in any way, shape, or form because I didn't have a security clearance. And because Boeing Helicopter is a military contractor, they required me to have a security clearance. And in order to have a computer on my desk to do the work that I was hired for, I needed to have that security clearance. And it became the long-running joke, and the joke became frustration for me. I absolutely fucking hated it. That's putting it mildly. Anyways, so about 4.5 months in, Mark, my boss's boss, wheels this monster-sized fucking cart. The thing must have been like 6 feet wide, or 6 feet long, and 3 feet wide, and it has this monster document on it. And on top of the document is stamped eyes only, which is a security clearance. And I don't have security clearance to see the document. As a matter of fact, if you look at that document, that's 5 years in a federal penitentiary, and I was not doing that road. Oh my. Quite a bit. Yes. I can't look at that document. He says, yeah, I know. You have a meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Be there. Bring this. I said, what? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to a meeting. I should tell you something, that Boeing has meetings to have meetings to have meetings so that you can have a meeting. And it's a piece of bureaucracy that I absolutely hated. Absolutely, wholeheartedly, categorically hated. These people have meetings about a meeting to have a meeting about a meeting that they're going to have a meeting about. Oh my God. Just a waste of fucking money. Oh, Christ. Looks beautiful here. Look at that. Wow. Oh my God. Alrighty. Back to the story. And now, back to the story. So the next morning, I wheel the document into the meeting, and my boss is sitting near the head of the table, and there's only one seat left at the head of the table. And I walk up to my boss and I said, where do I sit? He says, right there. This is your meeting. And I went, what? He's like, yeah, this is your meeting. And then he introduces me. On one side of the room is our four three-star generals, whole bunch of majors, captains, and lieutenants. And on the other side, there's a whole bunch of suits I've never met before. Clearly Mark's boss's boss. And I guess this is a status meeting as to, how we're going to solve problem X. And one of the three-star general that's closest to me says to me, so, all right, son, what do you got to show us? And I said, sir, nothing. He says, well, why not? And I can see Mark is smiling because I'm going to let loose with both barrels. He says, I said to him, I don't know why I'm here. He says, well, son, we flew all the way in here for nothing. I said, I don't know what the problem is, sir. He says, son, do you know what that document is? Pointing at the document I reeled in. I said, no, sir, I don't. I don't have security clearance in order to see it. He says, let me get this straight. You do not have a security clearance? And I said, no, sir, I don't. And then he looks across, and Boeing execs are like, and Mark is smiling at this point. And it finally dawns on me why this meeting exists. It's to get me my security clearance. He says, well, and can you solve our problem? I said, I don't know what your fucking problem. I'm sorry, I don't know what your problem is, sir, but maybe I can, maybe I can't. But I don't know what that problem is until I can look at your specifications document, which is what I'm assuming that document is. He says it is. I said, well then, somebody needs to get me a security clearance. Cell phones come out. Captains go running. 10 minutes later, I had my security clearance. Eyes only security clearance. Mark had earmarked the page. And outlined the tiny little yellow section that I needed to read was like a single paragraph. And here was the problem. The problem was that the Comanche would fly into a hot landing zone. And as it's coming in, it would transmit a whole bunch of data to to the combatants in the area to update them as to what was going on in the landing zone. There was just one little tiny problem, and they wanted to deliver secure video as well. There was just one little tiny problem. The web server that they had built was not capable of doing this. So I finished reading this damn thing. I'm like, you spent $6 million? Let me get this straight. You spent $6 million to build a web server that doesn't work. And Mark says to me, yeah. I said, hold on a second. But that wasn't the kicker. That was not that. I have to be honest with you. That was not the kicker. The kicker was that they wanted secure video, and video at that point in time was insanely difficult to deliver across a web platform. And 4 weeks earlier, and I've been reading about this thing for weeks on end before it actually happened, Netscape solved the problem with their newest web server, which would allow you to deliver video, not secure video, but video. But they did write a technical note about how you could actually secure the video if you wanted to. So I downloaded the Netscape server, loaded up a piece of video, put it on the server, loaded up a web page and said, is this what you're trying to do? And the journals went, I solved their problem in 20 minutes. That's it. Took me another 6 weeks to tweak it to DoD specifications so that it was completely secure. And then about 2, maybe 3 months later, the Clinton administration killed the project. But I did end up solving the problem. So just to give you a tiny little taste, Boeing helicopters would spend millions of dollars in an afternoon. Millions of dollars in an afternoon. And not think anything of it. The kicker was that they spent almost $40,000 on me to sit there for 4 months. And I solved the problem in 20 minutes. Talk about cost savings. Yes, it was really, really annoying to sit there on my hands. But that's what Mark had in mind the whole time. He knew that I couldn't get, that Boeing would take almost six months to a year to get me the security clearance I needed to sit in that room. And the only way around it was to force the generals or to force the military to just get done what needed to get done. And that's how I got my security clearance. Of course, I lost the security clearance about a year later, and when I say lost, I mean, I just didn't get it renewed. But that's how I got my security clearance. And that's how I solved Boeing's $6 million problem. And that's how I worked for Boeing helicopters. I was so frustrated after this, I would end up doing 2 or 3 more projects for them while I was there, that I didn't want to go back. And one of those projects you've already heard about, the after effect of that, and I'll explain another one of them in a later video, but good Lord. Alrighty, kitties, I think that's enough yapping from me today. But before I let you go, we have to do today's patron appreciation, which I do every single day, to honor my patrons past and present that have given to the project, whether or not they're a patron anymore or not. But I want to try to honor as many people as I possibly can because they've given to the project. And that's the important part as far as I'm concerned. So today's patron appreciation goes to Allie. Allie I've known for about 6, maybe 7 years. Allie came to me as a student at MIT when I was teaching alongside, it's a better way of putting it, teaching alongside the MIT Tango Club. And to make a long story short, when I first met Allie, she was being dragged around the room by some idiot, and I immediately saw her capabilities in that experience. And then I danced with her myself, and I'm like, how long have you been dancing? As it turns out, her father had taught her a little bit of tango, so that's why she was able to do what she was able to do. What I quickly discovered was that Allie was insanely talented. She was not just mentally gifted, intellectually gifted, she was also kinesthetically gifted. And I discovered that pretty much by happenstance. I had an inkling that girlfriend had some skills. Boy, I was just like, even though she was incredibly shy and incredibly humble about her own abilities. She didn't want to promote her abilities at all. And that's one of the things you have to do when you are a tango dancer, is that you have to show up and be bold. So I helped where I could. Allie was a gift to me. I'm not going to lie about that. It's not like I was the magical teacher that set her free, but she was a gift. She was the person that I designed my intensive study program for. She was exactly that person. And she fulfilled all of my wildest imaginings about what the project could actually do, or what the program could actually do. She didn't know that at the time. She does now. Anyways, so I've known Allie for 6 or 7 years, and she's just been a joy and a pleasure to have in my life. So when she saw that I was doing this project, she decided to help out. Thank you very much. And she's been giving ever since. So I just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you very much, Allie. You've helped. Alrighty, kitties. That is enough yapping from me today. Thank you to all of my patrons on and off Patreon, on and off YouTube, on and off Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you like my Amelia stories, please go look at them. They're on her Amelia Stories channel. There's a link down below in the description. Please go look at that. And I think that is enough yapping from me today. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next Daily Miles. Bye.